Time for the 49ers Rush Podcast.
What we're going to be doing today, and I'm kind of excited about this, and we kind of got this whole title and or, show idea from a Kyle Juszczyk clip that we're going to share from you. What is the 49ers kind of vibe? Where are the 49ers heading into the offseason? Because there's a clear bifurcation in the parts of the offseason. You have OTAs, you have minicamp. We're in the dead period. George Kittle, buying Mustangs and showing that off, and people dispersed. This is kind of the lone time where people are away and not really in contact with each other. Yeah, workouts still take place and things like that, but people are out there. And so, anyway, let's jump into. There's a couple topics I want to get to. I want you to hear today from two different 49ers, maybe three. I want you to hear from Samson Ebukam, who I think is somebody we really need to talk about, and also Kyle Juszczyk, who is such a freaking leader of this team in so many ways. Love this dude. And so let's bookend this by exactly what let's allow Kyle Juszczyk to speak for himself on where are the 49ers now and how do they feel after, OTAs and minicamp.
Good vibe having some of the guys that haven't been around be back in the building. It's great to see Deebo and Trent and Bosa. So that definitely pepped everybody up, had us in high spirits the first couple of days. But just feel like things have been going well. I feel like we've been having some good, solid practices out there, getting better, and just I'd say vibes are high right now.
Man, vibes are high right now. Kyle Juszczyk comes in, and you got to understand what this means whenever he says, we've been having good practice, but it's great to have Deebo, Trent, and Bosa come in because they've been everybody's been practicing, and those guys are a little bit built different. Imagine like practicing and having all these positive vibes. Then you have not one, not two, but three All-Pros start to show up at your practices. It's going to set the tone a little bit, guys. It really, really is, because whenever you bring in all those guys, stuff's about to change. And whether they're out there taking reps or not, it doesn't matter. If you're a wide receiver, a young wide receiver, undrafted free agent wide receiver out there competing for a roster spot, and you look over and see number 19 out there, it changes things. If you're one of the young tackles, you look over and see Silverback on the sideline, that changes. I mean, it's Bosa. Good gosh, Bosa. Dude's going to break the bank. He's going to be the highest paid non-quarterback ever here in 1 year's time. But yeah, it's like a family reunion. I love it, Big Papa. I think you nailed it. You bring these things together. Now, you look at, okay, where have these 49ers teams been in the past few years with John and Kyle here? Depth and health. What is the difference between this 2022 49ers and the past teams? Depth and health. Now, obviously, football is a 100% injured sport. Everybody gets hurt. And so a lot of guys play through it. Sometimes you can't. Difference between injured and hurt. As a coach, I always used to go through that. All right, before we start our first practice, understand everybody's going to get bumps and bruises. Everybody's going to get aches and pains. There's a difference between injured and hurt. Hurt, you play through. Injured, you're going to be a detriment to your team. You need to sit out. Okay. It's hard to go versus I can't go. If it's hard to go, guess what? It's time to become a man. That's what we would always say. Our job is to turn you from boys to men. Shout out to the rap R&B group. But that's the idea. You came in a boy, you're leaving a man. What is a man? Somebody that when things get hard, back to Father's Day, when things get hard, you don't turn and run. You don't quit. And, I would always give this speech. We all know, and we all got somebody that's walked out on us because things got hard. Don't be that person. How do we grow into being that person? You show it to your team right now. Things are going to get hard. We're going to be down. You're going to have injuries. You're going to have all these things. Don't be the guy that quits. Fight through it. Holy cow, man. Thank you so much for the gift, Derek. Awesome super chat. Man, thank you so much. Very generous. He says, thanks, John, for all your content. Man, thank you for consuming the content and for creating a place and an audience for people that want this. real quick, let's jump back a little bit. Shout out to the Warriors for winning their championship. I'm not a Warriors guy. I'm a Dallas Mavericks guy, born and raised in Dallas, Fort Worth area. And I became 49ers fan again back to Father's Day because I had a terrible stepdad. And so he pissed me off all the time. I couldn't stand him. Didn't like the way he treated my mom. So I couldn't stand anything he was about. He was a Cowboys fan. So that's how I became, right, a 49ers guy. He didn't care about basketball. So I stuck with, the Mavericks that were their local team growing up. But the whole idea, one, let's do this. Draymond Green gets up there after the speech and talked about what it means for him and his podcast and all these things about how, when you know the sport, and he was talking about basketball, and I'm paraphrasing here. I'm going to butcher this. I probably should have prepared the clip, but when you know the sport and you want to educate and enter into community and enhance people's experience, there is so much content. You don't have a problem creating content because you love the game, you love the sport, and you want to give that to other people that are out there. I think we had 5 videos up on YouTube yesterday. 5. It's July, or it's not even July, it's June. Like, it's easy to create content whenever you love this so much and you have people that are going to enjoy it with you. He goes on to talk about how, man, sometimes, people that don't know the sport or didn't play the sport or didn't engage in the sport and don't know it, they have to create narratives and drama and things like that. And it was so refreshing to hear somebody talk about that. It's just like, golly, whenever I tell people, just said goodbye to my teaching gig last week, cleaned out my classroom, all those things. And everybody was like, oh, what are you going to do? And I was like, oh, I'm doing this thing for the 49ers. And they always, every questions, every conversation was the same. I had it like 20 times in a row. What are you going to do for the 49ers? I was like, oh, I make this content and I put it out on YouTube and podcast form and all this stuff. And they're like, well, what do you talk about besides 49ers? I was like, just 49ers. They're like, do you just do it like once a week? And I was like, no, like several times a day. How do you find stuff to talk about? That's not an issue. I've never been limited by, man, I don't know what I want to talk about now. That's not it at all. One of that is because of people like you, Derek. And I just want to say thanks again, man. People email me and say, hey, it'd be cool if you do this. Hey, it'd be cool if you do this. There's not enough of us. We're assembling quite the good team. Juan Solis, who you guys all know about, Anthony and Josh, who are killing it. If you haven't checked out our 90-person series where we're going through as deep a dive on all 90 players currently on the 49ers roster, there's so much content. I recorded 8 of those bad boys yesterday. And I didn't want to stop, but yeah, I had to go spend some family time. But there's so much out there. So thank you, Derek. Thank you for the positivity. Thank you, everybody that's here now. There's just a lot there. There's just a lot to cover because you love the team so much. You love the sport so much and you want to give to it so that other people. I remember being a kid and I used to watch Sports Center back to back to back. I'd watch it 3 times in a row at night. And I would wait so long. And I'd know what the show was after I watched it the first time. For a 2-minute clip of the 49ers, I would watch another hour and a half just so I could see it again. We don't live in that world anymore. And I want to take part in making sure that people who are in love with sports, because sports was my safe haven. Sports was my escape whenever I was young. Didn't have the best childhood growing up. Didn't have a bad, it wasn't awful. I'm not trying to do that stuff, but sports, if I was having a bad day, if it was bad at home, man, sports, it was, oh my gosh, that was my safe haven. That's what got me out of where I was from. Not many people I knew got out. I got out. I got lucky. Sports was my way out. So I want to return that.
Hey, this your boy Frank Gore. I'm listening to 49er Rush. Niners all day.